Hey guys, it's Tim Miller from the Bulwark. Obviously, we've been focused on the Trump-Harris debate and the presidential campaign, but down ballot in the Senate races, there's an absolutely massive election coming up in Texas, in that Texas Senate race between Colin Allred and Ted Cruz. It could be the race that decides the balance of the Senate, because if you look at it right now, Democrats have 51. They're going to lose West Virginia because Joe Manchin retired. Things are not looking good in Montana. That gets you down to 49. You got to win one back somewhere. And the state where the Democrats are the closest in the polls to taking OW is Texas, with Colin Allred. And he had his debate with Ted Cruz tonight. So this campaign has importance because, you know, the Senate could hang in the balance. It has importance because in this fucking country, aren't we better than Ted Cruz? Let's just cut to the chase. Like, should somebody of Ted Cruz's character and demeanor and personality be representing our country in the world's greatest deliberative body? I don't think so. I think we could move on from Ted Cruz, all right? And it's not even really an ideological thing. It is an ideological thing, but it's also his assault on democracy, his assault on all of the human senses, his assault on the truth, and the fact that he doesn't take his job seriously. He doesn't care. You know, I mean, he's podcasting almost as much as I am, and he's lying far, far more. He's lying pretty much every time he opens up his mouth. He's nihilistic. He snickers. Like, he's gross. He's gross. And maybe, just maybe, Colin Allred will give the country the opportunity to move on from Ted Cruz. And so he had a chance to demonstrate in a debate tonight the difference between him and Ted Cruz. And there are a bunch of stuff we could talk about. If you go to Ted Cruz's Twitter feed, literally it's him posting clips about trans kids' sports and bathrooms, mostly. Like, I wish that I could say there's other stuff. He makes fun of Colin Allred for swaying, I guess, in one tweet, but it's mostly these outside issues. He's also posting about having the same thing that these guys do about the campus protesters and how awful some of the far left campus protesters are. And it's like, I don't agree with most of the far left campus protesters, but I don't know. What does that have to do with Colin Allred? What does that have to do with the Senate? What does that have to do with the president? Most of these far left campus protesters hate the Democratic Party. All right? Like, they're not representative of the Democratic Party. You know, it'd be like talking about how, if you don't like Liz Cheney, how that's representative of the Republican Party. Like, she's not even really a member in good standing. She mostly criticizes the Republican Party. These campus protesters mostly criticize the Democrats. They call him Genocide Joe, for God's sake. So, like, anyway, Ted Cruz focuses on the fact that he doesn't like some 18-year-old's opinions on Israel and teen bathrooms, and you know, not what we do with transgender teenagers. These cannot be the most pressing things facing the country, but that's what Ted Cruz wanted to focus on tonight. Colin Allred, on the other hand, you know, he was talking a lot about the abortion laws that have been passed in Texas, the bounty laws, you know, talking about, you know, other kitchen table issues. But fundamentally, the contrast between him and Ted Cruz is that one of them wanted to bring an end to the world's longest running democracy in service to Donald Trump, a man who called Ted Cruz's wife ugly and called his father and made up lies about his father, made up smears about Ted himself, that he was engaged in affairs. Ted Cruz is such a Quizlink that he wanted to tear down the democracy in order to make that man that had insulted his wife and his family an unelected autocrat over the voice of the people. It was a fundamentally disqualifying act, and the contrast that Colin Allred laid out on this point was stark. Let's watch.
You can't be for the mob on January 6th and for the officers. You can't. And it's not funny, because you're a threat to democracy.
Sure.
I was on the House floor when we went through the votes. I remember when you objected to the results in Arizona. Y'all at home might remember where you were on January 6th, what you were doing. I know where I was, and I know where he was. I remember when they told us to reach under our seats for these gas masks. I didn't know we had, because they had deployed tear gas in the rotunda. The officers locked all the doors. We barred the doors the president walks through to deliver the State of the Union with furniture that we usually use to hold paper. And I texted my wife, Allie, who was 7 months pregnant with our son, Cameron, and at home with our son, Jordan, who wasn't yet 2. Whatever happens, I love you. And I took off my suit jacket, and I was prepared to defend the House floor from the mob. At the same time, after he'd gone around the country lying about the election, after he'd been the architect of the attempt to overthrow that election, when that mob came, Senator Cruz was hiding in a supply closet. And that's okay. I don't want him to get hurt by the mob. I really don't. This election is his accountability. You cannot just be patriotic when your side wins. If for the first time in 250 years, this project of ours, this shared American project, that we did not have a peaceful transfer of power, the folks responsible have to be held accountable. That's why Liz Cheney has endorsed me, has got involved in this campaign, and is saying to Texans everywhere, do not put Ted Cruz back in a position of authority, because he's done it once, he'll do it again.
Wow. Hiding in the coat closet. Hiding in the coat closet. How can you watch that clip and be for Ted Cruz, no matter what your ideology is? Colin Allred has the courage. He pulled up his shirt sleeves. He was going to defend the House floor against the rioters that Ted Cruz had sent there with his lies about the election. Ted Cruz was hiding in a closet. According to his own book, by the way. You see him laugh and shake his head like, oh, no, that's not true. No, Ted wrote that. Ted admitted it. That's what he said. That's where he said he was. Not fake news. It's what Ted Cruz said. He's just now embarrassed about his own admission of cowardice. And we're just aren't we a better country than this? I think so. I had an interview with Colin Allred a while back. I'd encourage you guys to go watch the full thing. I had the opportunity to interview him at the Texas Tribune Fest. And me and Colin and Congressman Allred don't agree on everything. There's a lot of agreement. He's a pretty moderate House member. But just his general dignity and compassion and caring about the people of Texas is what stood out to me during that conversation. We'll put a full link here in the description of this video. And, we had an opportunity to talk about what he cares about and his passions and why he's doing this. And fundamentally, this is not a guy that's like a show horse, a big performer. He's a little nervous, he's podcasting with me. I just sit here in my t-shirt half the time, bullshitting, doing jokes. He's a little nervous, he's not a stage actor. He's not like Ted. He doesn't want to, perform. He doesn't want to be loved because he was stuffed in a locker in high school. He just wants to serve his country. He's got young kids, been in Texas for a while, served in the House, and willing to work at the other side. That's why Liz Cheney's endorsed him. And that's the kind of person we should have in Congress. That's not really even about parties or politics or issues. It's just about we should have people like this, people that are servant leaders in our Congress. We shouldn't have smug douche nozzles like Ted Cruz. So come on, Texas. Come on, Texas. Go watch that video again. Go watch Colin Allred talk about how he was ready to defend the House floor against these rioters while Ted Cruz hid. Go watch him talk about how Ted Cruz advanced a bunch of lies about our democracy in order to try to make Donald Trump an unelected autocrat. We can do better. Anyway, you can watch other highlights from that debate over at the Colin Allred page. He's running a good campaign. I think it's a tough campaign. We should just be honest. It's an uphill campaign. It's still Texas. It's tough in a presidential year. I'd feel a little bit better about it if it was a midterm year because of the nature of the electorate. But it is winnable. I interviewed Colin about it. I interviewed Beto about this a while back. It was a great interview, and it's a race that is worth your time and attention. All right. Make sure to subscribe to the feed and give us a thumbs up. We'll be seeing you back here soon. Peace.